Hello and welcome to the end of the week and another episode of 5 at 5 with Denver Public Library. Today is Friday, June 5th. My name is Lainey. I'm a librarian at DPL's downtown central location, and in 15 minutes or less we'll have you up to speed on 5 new titles we can't wait for you to read or listen to. Looking for a way to start talking frankly about race with fellow community members? Founded by the rapper and voracious reader, No Names Book Club is an online and IRL community dedicated to uplifting POC voices. The club highlights 2 books each month written by authors of color and hosts free in-person meetups to discuss the monthly picks in a safe and supportive environment. Denver Public Library heads up an unofficial chapter. Check out a list of past highlighted titles and find out how to join us for our next virtual meeting in the links below. And now on to this week's titles. At number 1, we have Parakeet by Marie-HELENE Bertino, an ebook and e-audio format on Overdrive, book on order. From the author of 2014's ever so charming 2 a.m. at the Cat's Pajamas comes this just as charming tale of a bride on the eve of an ill-advised wedding, visited in the form of a parakeet by her late grandmother while staying at the Long Island hotel where the marriage is set to take place. Her grandmother's message is crystal clear. The bride must get in touch with her estranged brother Tom, a playwright, before the ceremony. Standing in the way of this pilgrimage, however, are the bride's meetings with brain injury survivors. Her job is to interpret and tell their stories in court cases, phone calls from her increasingly agitated florist, and a Freaky Friday-like episode in her mother's aging body. Plus her brother, who hit the big time with a play based on the bride's real-life involvement in a hate crime, much to the bride's chagrin, proves pretty elusive, and doesn't turn out to be the person she remembered. Not quite. This realization focuses her feelings about her impending nuptials. I get the sense that the number of people who are married is not equal to the number of people that give the institution much thought, she says. Now, of course, is the time for her to give it its due. Bertino's characteristic zaniness hits its stride in this book. The bride's existential dread manifests itself in an elevator that goes nowhere and hotel hallways of M.C. Escher-esque dimensions. And a whirlwind night in Manhattan with the cast of Tom's play serves a lot of laughs. But here, too, are the earnestness and vulnerability we'd expect after her first novel. A darkly silly and surreal romp of a book about sibling love, self-actualization, and the outright absurdity of the wedding industrial complex. Give Parakeet a read if you liked Joy Williams' The Changeling, or Aleph Bachman's The Idiot. Next, we have Exciting Times by Nisha Dolan, print book on order, ebook on Overdrive. Everyone's saying it, this book is for Sally Rooney fans. Dolan certainly deals with much of the same subject matter in this debut novel. Post-grad Irish millennial angst, a love triangle, politics, both micro and macro, and questions related to power, class, and gender. And Dolan employs a similar spare, detached style as well. Expect the same bird's-eye examination of feelings, relationship dynamics, and sex, but with a bit more humor, certainly. 22-year-old Ava leaves working-class Dublin for Hong Kong to teach English, where she meets Silver Spoon Londoner Julian at a bar. They strike up a sort of aloof, stilted flirtation that progresses into sleeping with each other, and Ava's living in his apartment rent-free. While Julian is away in London for work, however, the situation becomes even more muddled. Enter Edith Zhang, a lawyer and a local, like Julian the product of a privileged upbringing. Ada and Edith become friends, then more than friends, and then Edith kisses Ava on her birthday. Ava hasn't told Julian the full truth about Edith, or Edith the full truth about Julian, so when Julian gets in touch to say his business in London has wrapped up and he's on his way back to Hong Kong, Ava must choose between moneyed comfort and love, a paradigm she finds herself confronting, unexpectedly, in the grammar lessons she presents to her students. Says the UK's Daily Mail, Dolan is a wonderfully sharp comic writer adept at making wisecracks in the caustic, knock 'em off, knock 'em down tradition of Dorothy Parker, Joan Rivers, and Nora Ephron. Ava is Bridget Jones' sour sister, or Bridget Jones marinated in vinegar. I found myself purring with pleasure. Life for Sale by Yukio Mishima is our third title today, available on Overdrive as an ebook and e-audiobook, book on order. This is the first English translation of the 1968 Japanese language novel, originally published just 2 years before the author's failed military coup d'etat that ended in his own ritual suicide by seppuku. There are echoes of this fate in Life for Sale, a slapstick, satirical comedy of errors, rife with anti-capitalist sentiment. We meet our protagonist, Hanyo Yamada, as he wakes up in a hospital bed after attempting to take his own life. Young, good-looking, and more or less successful, Hanyo quits his copywriting job and takes out an ad in the newspaper. Life for Sale, it reads. Use me as you wish. If he can't take his own life, someone else will, he supposes. What follows are run-ins with a whole host of odd characters. A gangster, a vampire, an heiress fond of LSD. Plenty of plot twists and postmodern, post-war musings, and potential unwitting involvement in a government-wide conspiracy. A slim read for those fond of Kafka, Catch-22, or Nabokov's An Invitation to a Beheading. At number 4, we have Book of the Little Axe by Francis-SHARMA, author of 2014's Till the Well Runs Dry. You can find this one on Overdrive as an ebook, print book on order. This is fascinating, well-researched historical fiction for readers of Ya Gyasi and Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Francis-SHARMA brings to light conditions for native Trinidadians in the 18th and 19th centuries, where Spanish rule gave way to English rule, and free-spirited, dark-skinned Rosa Rendon responds to white colonists' escalating oppressive tactics by escaping to Crow Nation, Montana. Her family had been free, property-owning black people in their homeland, but this autonomy falls to pieces under the British, and Rosa never had much enthusiasm for her family's expectations that she marry and start a family anyway. Though that's exactly what happens in Montana. There she becomes the chief's wife and finds herself raising biracial children, one of whom, Victor, ends up following a new iteration of his mother's cross-cultural trajectory when he fears being accused of a crime he didn't commit. He and his mother flee the life they know with the Crow, and along the way Victor learns a great deal about a man named Creedon Rampley, a white woodsman wanderer who dreamed of finding gold in Rosa's Caribbean, and whose fate mingles with hers and her family's. Required reading for those living in the Mountain West. And at number 5 this week, some nonfiction. The Book of Eels, Our Enduring Fascination with the Most Mysterious Creature in the Natural World, by PATRIK SVENSSON. We have the print book and CD audio on order, ebook and e-audio format available on Overdrive. This one is being billed as a cross between H is for Hawk and The Soul of an Octopus. Swedish art and culture journalist Svensson reconsiders our historical understanding of eels, expanding from the biological into the metaphysical, philosophical, and spiritual realms, and touching on the eel-related musings of the likes of Aristotle, Freud, Rachel Carson, Gunter Grass, and, of course, his own father, who liked to fish for them in the stream by Svensson's childhood home. Svensson, says Kirkus, notes that the Puritans would likely not have survived without eels, and he explores Sweden's eel coast, what it once was and how it has changed, how eel fishing became embroiled in the Northern Irish conflict, and the importance of eel fishing to the Basque separatist movement. Who knew we could glean so much about the human condition from such a slippery creature? An unexpectedly delightful memoir cum natural history for both the dreamers and the scientifically minded among us. Plus, in case you missed it, DPL just added lots of books on race and anti-racism to Overdrive. Explore materials on activism, mass incarceration, policing, voter suppression, Black feminism, history, parenting, and health. There are many great titles available for kids and teens too. Check them out by following the link below in the video notes. And that's a wrap. Thanks for tuning in to Denver Public Library's Friday 5 at 5. Check out or place a hold on these titles and a whole lot more right now at denverlibrary.org/downloads, link below. And be sure to tune in next week for a whole new batch of recommended reads.